Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, we will discuss about WebSocket programming. If you are a fresher or experienced developer, no matter if you are new to the WebSocket programming, it will definitely help you to understand the WebSocket programming. Okay. First, let's discuss what is a WebSocket programming. Okay. Why do we need WebSocket programming? Right. Till now, we have worked with HTTP programming. The same way, WebSocket is also a communication protocol that provides you duplex communication channels over single TCP connection. It enables real-time data transfer between a client and the server. Here, the client is nothing but a web browser. Unlike traditional HTTP connections, which are stateless and require a new connection for each and every request. WebSocket connection is persist, which will allow you bi-directional communication between the client and the server. See, if you look at this diagram, right, this is the HTTP connection. Where if you want to communicate, if you want to send the request to the server, right, that first the client has to initiate the request to the server, and upon the request, the server process the request and send the response back. Now the connection will be closed. Again, the client or the browser wants to send the same data, and the next, right, again he has to initiate the request again to the server. The server in turn then process the request and send the response back. Similarly, for n number of requests, if the same request or different requests, every time the HTTP create a new connection to the server and send the response back. If you look at this WebSocket, in case of WebSocket, this is not the case. WebSocket send the request once and it accepts a socket connection. Once the socket connection is happened, then it can communicate bidirectionally, where the client can send a data to the server and send back to the client. Means both can communicate bidirectionally. But here the question is how this client and the server communicate with single connection, and how this WebSocket connection is established. If you look at this diagram, basically, if you open a handshake, right, first of all, before the socket connection is established, make sure this client send a handshake request to the server with HTTP saying upgrade this HTTP protocol request. Which means the client send a WebSocket handshake request. Means the client initiate the ATCP connection to the server socket endpoint, saying it start with WS something. I will show you that, okay, during hands-on. Okay, the server acknowledges the handshake request. Means when the server receives the handshake request, it acknowledges and agrees to establish a socket connection. Once the handshake is completed, the WebSocket connection is established, and both the client and server start exchanging the WebSocket protocol. So this is how the WebSocket connection will be upgraded from client HTTP to WebSocket. Now, upgrading HTTP connection to WebSocket does involve a specific user interaction? No, does not require any manual intervention by the user, but is typically handled by the client and server software. As I told you, right, when the client sends a HTTP request to the server, it means it is requesting an upgrade to the WebSocket protocol. By default, this browser support HTTP protocol. So it will send a request to the WebSocket protocol. Means this request includes certain headers like upgrade, socket, a connection upgrade, etc. Among other things. So upon the agreement, then the server sends acknowledge with an HTTP 101 status code, which means it is switching the protocol from HTTP to WebSocket. Again, at the same time, it includes the upgrade and connection header in the response, which is a hash value based bit provided by the client. So upon receiving the 101 response, the client and the server knows there is the connection has been successfully upgraded to the WebSocket protocol. From this point onwards, the communication will happen between the client and the server using a WebSocket protocol. All this process often handled automatically by libraries and the framework that provide WebSocket functionality. So from a developer perspective, it may not require manual intervention beyond setting upon appropriate configuration. Okay, but however, understanding the underlying process can be helpful for you for debugging and troubleshooting. Hope everyone is clear how this connection is establishing between the client and the server. Okay. Now, if you look at this one, right, I'll show this. Okay. Once this handshake correction is happened, this guy ends sending the response back to the client saying that the handshake connection is successful. So that I switch my protocol HTTP to WebSocket. So that the communication will happen by direction. Either the client initiate the message first or the server initiate the message first. So that can happen by direction. At last, if this connection is open till you close this, which means then you have to close the socket connection. So if once you open the connection, once you open a socket connection, can have n number of sessions. That session you can manually close it according to yourself. But the handshake connection, that connection that happens before you start communication will still open until your application live. Okay, if you still confusion, don't worry. Okay, we have a hands-on example there. I will show you clearly. Okay, let's jump into the code. Hands-on code. Okay, what is required to create a socket program? Start. Now, open new project and select Spring Boot Startup. As you may be aware of this already, Spring Boot project. If you don't know about this, please go back to my previous videos and watch how to create a Spring Boot project. Okay, now create socket programming. It's all coming by default as I have created earlier. Now next, now what dependencies are required? Lombok not required. Now if you are working with MySQL database, then you can select this. Right now in our example, right, we don't need all these things. Okay, simply select the Spring Web and WebSocket. Only two these dependencies, then click next and finish. So the project will be created here, and the project structure also created, and wait for a couple of seconds so that it is building on this process. Now we are done this. As you say that once you create a Spring Boot project, you would say that main class is by default. Okay, now we don't want all this main class. Okay, now let's create first class. What is the class? That WebSocket handler, which means everywhere every program have a life cycle book, means life cycle methods. So we have to create a WebSocket handler which will have all these life cycle methods, which means how this messaging happen, how the connection is, how the sessions are opening, how the sessions are closed, like this something similar to our servlet life cycle only. See how the servlet life cycle have in method, service method, and destroy method. The same three methods we will use it here. Okay, now create custom web socket handler. Okay, this is my socket handler. This is simple class. Okay, connected with the Spring Boot component. Why? Because during components only it has to, and all this is part of Spring container. Now we'll go with simple text messages, so that we have to extend text web socket handler. You go here, this text WebSocket handler is a class which extends the abstract WebSocket handler. But if this text WebSocket handler provide this handling binary messages, okay, that we will discuss in the upcoming sessions how to handle this binary message. If you look at this abstract WebSocket handler, right, which implements a lot of methods like after connection established and handle a message and handle text message, binary message, form message, all these things, and connection close. But we need only these three methods: after connection established, after connection close, and the main method is handle message. This after connection established something servlet init method, and after connection closed is servlet destroy method, and handle message is equal to the servlet service method. Okay, we will look with detail while implementing this. Okay, first, what is this first method? Just copy this method and go right here. Okay, now we have to do this. See here, basically this content just we will print only the session ID, how the session ID is creating or not done. Okay, later in this after connection established, you can have right based on your requirement on the functionality, right? You can go with the your programming logic. Okay, that I will show you that in the upcoming sessions. Okay, how to connect to the database. What is the exact need of this after connection established? Okay, basically this after connection established method will first call of once the connection is established, means once the WebSocket connection is established. Okay, during debugging I will show you how this call session ID. Okay, now session dot get. See, if you see this, there are a lot of methods available. Just get session ID, get attributes from that session, right? You can get attributes and local address and the URI and everything, right? Now we'll print session ID right now. Get ID. It gives the session ID. A connection established with session ID. Okay, we'll just print the session ID here. Okay, now we are done with the init method. Sorry, after connection established. So what is the next method? Once the connection is closed, right? This method will be closed. How the connection will be closed, right? After connection closed. So what I do, right? The session, the current session has to be closed. Session the close. So which means the current session will be closed. Now there is a one main method like server service method, which will handle our messages that is sent by the client. So just take out this. Now see this, the message we just printed here. Okay, message. What is that message update? It will get all the message payload. So if you look at this, right? It's contain message payload. This is the actual payload where it get the message with this payload. It is something like our HTTP payloads. This is a simple thing. Now we are done with the handler, which means this handler will invoke. This handler has to invoke by somebody, right? Like our Springboard REST call site. If we have a mapping path, right? Which controller has to invoke based on the mapping path? The controller will be invoked and process our request. Means we need endpoints. So how do we create endpoints here in case of WebSocket? We need handlers to be registered. So how do you do that? Let's create separate class called as WebSocket config. So if type now this marked as a configuration class means during components car this has to be registered as a part of Spring container. Now we are working with the WebSocket programming. So please enable that feature, enable WebSocket. Now what is the next step? We have to implement what when WebSocket configure like Springboard now security. If you are aware of the Springboard configure Springboard security, right? So we are implementing the Springboard configure the same way whichever the configuration support unit, right? That classes we are that interface we are implementing. Now WebSocket configure. Now if you look at it, it gives exception because it contains some method, one method register WebSocket handlers that we have to provide a implementation. Now what is that next step? Register dot add handler. So what is the handler that we created is custom WebSocket handler. Okay, sorry, create an object, new custom WebSocket handler. Now what do you do next? We have to give the path message, just simple endpoint. So this has to be registered. Now what to say? Send allow person. So you already know aware of this set which will cross version request or allow from the browser. So now I can say register all. Now we are done with all the configurations and the endpoint. Now look at it. So how do you make a call to this? As I told you, right, in this diagram, first of all, we send the request to the server, right, before they start communicating, right? HTTP connection, HTTP request will be sent. And once the HTTP request is sent, then upgrade HTTP to socket. But now we don't have any UI client application. That is different thing. If you have a UI client application, that need to be settings as part of application. Now it's not a developer. Basically, it's part of this library, so that will be done. That now right now with the Postman tool, I will show you how make a WebSocket request. Now now this is the HTTP port 8080 where my server is listening on that. Start this on as Springboard application only. Okay, my server is up. It is listening on 8080. My endpoint is message. Okay, now I go to Postman and hit send. It won't work. See, can upgrade only to WebSocket. Say, which means we have to upgrade here. We are using external tool, right, to send the request WebSocket request, right? So that is the reason it is saying upgrade can upgrade only to WebSocket. How you do that? We have an option called here. Click here. We upgrade to WebSocket. Right now, this is the syntax to send the WebSocket request. WebSocket is the host. What is 8080? And the endpoint is message. Now I have started my application in the run mode. Okay, check connected to this URL. You could see this the message printed here. Connection established with session ID. So this is the class where this after connection established. Make sure it does not mean that, right, the moment it connects and printing. After means before it comes here, make sure the connection has to be established. Means it is not actually the WebSocket session. The connection is mean that this connection, this over to the server is happen. When that happen, then only your life cycle methods will start communication. By chance, if it is not connected to this, right, then you could not even reach to this method. Okay, this is what the connection. It is once the connection is successful, then after connection established method will be called and the sessions will be start creating. Now I have the session created. Right now, look at this as a client. I'm sending a message. Okay? Test message. So this is the payload I'm sending. So it comes here, it is printing here test message. You could see here, this guy is coming here also. Test message it is printing here. Now, once I close the connection, means then say disconnect. When the moment I say disconnect, you could say this, the connection will be closed here. It does not mean that your connection is closed. It is not a connection closed. It is just closed your session. The connection is still alive. Anytime, any point of time, you can connect to this. Every time when you say connect here from here means when every time when you send a request, right, the same connection you are creating the different sessions, right? Using the same session you can communicate in in number of times. That doesn't matter. By chance if you want to close the connection, sorry, close the session explicitly, you have to go and you terminate the connection. Otherwise in the same session you can continue later and the session will be alive. Okay, it does not mean like the HTTP request, right? Once you send a request to a server through HTTP, right, the connection, the TCP connection will be open, and then once the response come back, then by default it will be closed. But where in case of WebSocket handler, WebSocket, this connection, this session will be open until you close this one. Whatever the session it is closed, right? You look at this one, this will remain open. This session will remain open until you close this explicitly. So that is the difference that we have looked at here, right? Once the socket session is open, you can have a number of communications. Then once the socket is closed, then only that session will be closed. It is not actually the request is closed. So how do that? If you want to see that, write one more logic. I'll show that same thing. Now I'll go back and clear these logs. Now I have the session one. Okay, another user hitting the same endpoint. So this is treat it as a session 2. Now this is one session. Okay. And come here. Okay, this is already connected. Then disconnect this. Uh, so disconnect this also. Now go in from the beginning. Now this is the first one. Connect. Here it is connected, and this guy is connected. So now look at this. Yeah, this is differentiation, and this is differentiation. See, two sir, two users logged in, two different session. Now I can send a message here. Okay, user one, sorry, user one send message. So this guy is send the message. So whichever the user send the message, I should can receive only my message. And you go here, user two send message. Only you could see this user two message here. Sorry, let us send this user two send message. See, this is how you can have a number of sessions in a single connection. In with the same session, you can have a number of no communications happen. This same session. Okay. If you so can go in and disconnect, then this will be disconnected. Now I will show that in the debug mode. Okay, then you come to know. Debug as Spring Boot application. Now, the moment it start the server means then it is like our Spring Boot application server startup. There is no difference. The moment you start sending a request for the first time over this WebSocket, right? This internal interpret and convert this HTTP to WebSocket. Now I'm sending, say connect. Sorry, have not enabled breakpoint. Put a breakpoint here. Now the three places. Now disconnected and connected again. See, the moment I say connect, this guy comes here in that after connection. So this is a previous request. Look at it. Now connect. See, this is the guy connected with the session ID and the URI, to which URI is a message, this message. For this endpoint, this is the session ID. Okay. Now, if I send the message from this guy, just see again, if you look, come here with the session, right? What is the session with the same session, right? Say 6C. Yeah. If you look at this console, see 6CF. So based on that session, this guy send the message okay, from the message payload, we can create it. The same way, if you want to disconnect them, see this guy comes here, session dot close, this will be close the session. You can ask a question, how can I have multiple endpoints in the same config with the same handler? Yes, of course you can have. Just copy paste this here. Now let's go with only two endpoints, not more than that. Add, delete. So these are common. It is something similar to our Spring Boot multiple endpoints. You can have this multiple endpoints here also. But how can I handle this multiple endpoints? From which endpoint the message has received, that you have to write code here. How do that? Okay, we go to this socket handler. In this, okay, right. Just put a condition that if send dot get URI. I told you, right? URI is nothing but the endpoint path. Get path dot, sorry, index of, what is that? As batteries. Okay. Now we'll take the path of it. String URI path equals to, just copy paste this. Okay. Now, what do you have to take the action type? What is the action type you have to take? URI path dot. Sorry, we already have this URI path. Dot take a substring. So substring starts from index of this guy, right? So from slash take that. Now, if action type dot equals to, what is the action type that we have given? Add, delete. Okay, add. If action type dot equals delete. Now, print a simple system. Okay. Otherwise, we just print the same message what it is come here. So dot get payload. Now remove this system, make confusion. Okay, based on the endpoint, this message will be printed here. With endpoint sorry with this, add sorry delete. Now my connection is open for add, delete. Now user added. Now I send that user is added here. See, user is added. Similarly, if I go here and say user deleted, send this user is deleted. Is it simple how to create the WebSocket connection, how to configure the WebSocket handlers. Okay, in the next coming videos, we will show you where exactly this WebSocket is working. A simple example, this WebSocket is mainly used in real-time streaming data where we have continuous stream of data updated from the other end, then we have to publish that, right? Immediately without sending any request to the server so that the client may be aware of the changes happening in the backend. So this is used for real-time streaming. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel and give a thumb. Okay, I will catch you in the next session. Okay, until then, bye bye.